Hello everybody, my name is Spy. Welcome back to another video, and today there's something I wanted to put my 2 cents on. I've seen this conversation a lot the past couple weeks, especially as the season's come to the end, and it's the future of Nakobe Dean on the Philadelphia Eagles. I want to talk about just the season he's had, him versus Jahad Campbell, and whether or not the Eagles should re-sign Nakobe Dean to a contract extension. Let's get into this. So, this conversation has really picked up some steam. There's only 2 games left in the season. Nakobe Dean did get injured last week against Washington, but when he's played this year, Dean has been one of the best inside linebackers in the NFL this year, and he was last year before he got injured in the playoffs. Let's just get this out of the way. Nakobe Dean is a stud when he plays. If we look at what he's put up so far this year, remember, he's only played half the season. 43 tackles, 10 assists, did a forced fumble, 23 stops, 4 sacks as an inside linebacker, and 10 pressures. Absolutely insane. Ignore the grades on here. He's only played half a season, but for half a season, over a whole season, we're talking 80, 90, maybe 100 tackles. Damn, he's been really good this year. When you watch him, man, he just absolutely flies all over the field. He is so good in run defense. But I think what makes Nakobe Dean a very special player is his blitzing. Now, we do have a little clip here. This is from the Chargers game. He was outstanding in this game. We have Thomas R. Peterson here. Obviously, credit to him for posting the video. Guy posts some great stuff on Twitter, but Dean just comes flying in here on a blitz, and yeah, I think that's Omarion Hampton, a first-round pick. Yeah, he's getting mauled. Let me turn this off. He gets absolutely mauled. Look how fast he gets there. Gets a free run. Boom! Blow a first-round running back's ass up. Blow his ass up. He does this to like every running back he goes up against. Herbert, yeah, you're going down. Oh, you lost the ball too. Loser. That is what Nakobe Dean does when he blitzes. He is violent. He is vicious. I think he can go toe-to-toe with any other linebacker in the NFL when it comes to blitzing. He might be top 3. Maybe he's the best, right? When Dean blitzes, yeah, good luck. I remember watching him 2022 draft. He was the first player I watched out of that draft because I'd seen so many Georgia games that year. And when I would watch them, obviously you have Jalen Carter, you have Jordan Davis, all these incredible guys on that team. 17 in the middle of that defense, Nakobe Dean was just always making plays. He was always on the ball, always making big tackles, turnovers, blitzing. When I watched him blitz in college, it was like, holy smokes. This guy is a dog. This man mauls guards, blows up running backs. When it comes to blitzing, the Eagles don't do it a ton. They feel pretty confident when they send Nakobe Dean out there to blitz because he's blowing your ass up. We have the same person here, Thomas R. Peterson. Nakobe Dean leads all... Okay, first off, this is from about 2 weeks ago. Just keep that in mind. However, it is still recent. He leads all linebackers with a 29.2% pass rush win rate since returning from injury. The second best player is Patrick Queen. Now, I don't know if that's still true, but he has 4 sacks and 6 QB hits in the last games, before that Chargers game. That's ridiculous. For somebody that came back from a patellar injury and has only played half the season, unbelievable how good Nakobe Dean is. He deserves a big contract on a team. Will that team be Philadelphia? Well, we do have a problem. I wouldn't really call it a problem. There's Jahad Campbell. Now, Campbell only played about half the year as the full-time starter. When Dean came back, they just threw Dean back out there as the starter, which is understandable. The Eagles do, at positions like this where they have multiple players, they do kind of like to let their rookies sometimes have a year to sit back, learn a little bit. Now you have situations like Quinyon Mitchell where he's the day one starter and he's just incredible, right? You don't always have that. Jalen Carter, you don't always have that. Like Jordan Davis, took him a couple of years to really get good. Jalix Hunt, Nolan Smith barely played his rookie year, and he's been amazing. We do see this. I don't think that should be seen as a negative for Jahad Campbell, but Dean is the more experienced player. He's been on the team longer. He's a fourth-year player, and he's a damn good one. There is no doubt in my mind about that with Nakobe Dean. This man is a Pro Bowl, all-pro level middle linebacker. Unbelievable how good he is. Jahad Campbell, I think, also very much still has that potential. It's kind of been forgotten about, but at one point earlier this year, before Dean came back, Jahad Campbell was the odds-on favorite to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. He was outstanding. Now, I know there were still some moments where he let up some big plays. He's a rookie. I know there was that one pass against the Buccaneers, which wasn't even really his fault. It was the pass rush not really getting him. Baker Mayfield had like 8 seconds to throw the ball. Asking a linebacker to cover for 8 seconds is ridiculous, and he got burned on a touchdown. I know that happened. I was there. I saw it happen. But I think the body of work for Jahad Campbell was outstanding. Now, 46 tackles, 13 assisted, had a forced fumble, 15 stops, 10 pressures. They tried to use him off the edge at points. That didn't work. I mean, does it have his size on here? Yeah. 6'3", 244. He is built really like lean and lanky. He was never playing edge at 6'3", 244. I know he was recruited as an edge rusher. There's a reason he switched to inside linebacker, okay? He's an athletic freak. He's a younger player. You do have to kind of go back in time and remember what Jahad Campbell was doing. This is from October 29th when he was the full-time starter before Dean came back. We have Jay Fortgang on here, posts a bunch of these graphs. Very useful information. This one on on all routes in primary coverage, how well linebackers have prevented separation, and they're great at the catch point. Look who's at the top. You want to be up here, okay? This means you're pretty damn good if you're up here, okay? And look who's all alone. Jahad Campbell, and look who's back here. Zach Bond. Okay? These guys are pretty damn good. You're not getting any separation against Campbell, and he's not letting you catch the ball at all. He was amazing in coverage while he was playing. So, you have Bond, who's elite in coverage, and you have Jahad Campbell, who's also elite in coverage. This is where Dean does struggle a little bit. He's not the best in coverage. A lot of it's because of his size, right? Not the biggest linebacker, but against the run, absolutely elite. Now, I couldn't find anything for Campbell, but he had his moments against the run. If you watch the film, you see him get washed out of the run a ton at the beginning of the year. Is this something he can work on and fix? Sure, absolutely. But there's times where he gets way too aggressive, goes downhill, missed tackles. We did see that as a problem earlier this year. Him getting washed out in the run game. You're not washing Nakobe Dean out in the run game. However, Campbell, elite in coverage. I think, if Campbell's a starter, over the next couple of years, he's going to be looked at as an elite coverage player. And there's a pretty good chance that Jahad Campbell, eventually, is Zach Bond. He is that, not replacement, but heir to. Remember, Zach Bond's a little bit of an older player, right? At the end of Bond's contract, he's going to be like 32-ish. Jahad Campbell is going to be like 24. So keep that in mind. Campbell is 21. He's a very young player. I think he kind of gets forgotten about this year. I know that there were some rough moments for the Eagles defense at the beginning of the season, but I don't think Jahad Campbell necessarily, gets the credit he deserved during that stretch. He was really, really, really good. So, what do we see here? Both these players have positives. They have negatives. But there's one unfortunate thing that I haven't really brought up with Nakobe Dean. And that is the injury history. 2022, he didn't play, right? He was behind TJ Edwards and Kaiser White. He was behind those two. He didn't play a ton that year. When he did play in a couple games, I know he played that one Titans game. He blew Derrick Henry up. He was pretty solid, right? You saw some potential there. Played in the preseason, 2023. Now he's a starter in 2023. Well, unfortunately, injures his foot. And 2023, he played maybe 4 games, 5 games, if that. When he did play, it was up and down. It was his first year starting, but you could see the potential there. So, basically, the first 2 years of his career are a total wash, right? 2023, he misses pretty much the entire year with injury, and it was very disappointing. Last year, he plays the whole season, and he's one of the best inside linebackers in the NFL, right? Any stat you can find, Dean and Bond were elite together. Dean was absolutely elite last year. The wild card game against the Packers comes. He gets a brutal knee injury, right? Injures that patellar tendon. He's out for the rest of the playoffs. They bring other guys in. They were able to keep going without him, win the Super Bowl. Awesome. I'm not saying Dean didn't have impact. I'm just saying he did get injured. They were able to win. Right? Okay, keep that in mind. When Vic Fangio comes in, Nakobe Dean looks a lot better. He looks like a Pro Bowler. Okay? Something you have to keep in mind with some free agents and stuff is, I know I'm kind of walking away from the conversation, but some players play really well in certain systems. And I'm just saying that pretty much every single player in a Vic Fangio defense on the Eagles looks pretty good. Now, there's obviously some trash that's been put out there, right? Some cornerback twos that have been questionable, but Adoree Jackson has looked pretty decent the last month. He's looked solid. Keely Ringo's a lost cause. Byron Young, right? There's some guys that we can talk about that are lost causes, but I would say if you're a starter in a Vic Fangio defense, especially as a linebacker, you look pretty damn good, right? You play really good. It is a defense that wants their linebackers to make tackles, make plays against the run, and cover, right? So you look really good as a linebacker. So you also have Bond next to you, and Bond is elite in his own right. I'm not saying the system's carrying them, but I am saying that, as with the system they run, you look pretty damn good as a linebacker, and you can play really well as a linebacker. So they lose Dean. He's done until what week of this year? It was weeks 1 through 5 with a knee injury. Comes back week 6, takes the starting role, and is balling out. What happens last week against Washington? Well, unfortunately, he hurts his hamstring. Now, I don't know if he's going to play against Buffalo this weekend. We don't really know. We haven't really heard anything. I would imagine he doesn't. Okay, I would really imagine that they kind of sit him back and we get to see Jahad Campbell again this week. Campbell was great last week against Washington. And then the last game of the season, obviously, his ass ain't going to be out there. Nobody's ass should be out there week 18. I want to watch backups play week 18 against Washington. I would imagine Dean comes back for the playoff game, right? We still don't know who we're playing, right? We don't know what day. But I would imagine in 3 weeks, when that playoff game comes, he's there. They're not going to blow his hamstring up for a week 17 game. What is the unfortunate reality? Well, the reality is that Nakobe Dean has been injured a lot in his career, and it's scary, right? Knee injuries, foot injuries, these are serious, scary injuries. I don't know how he came back from that patellar injury as fast as he did. Insane resilience right there, right? But these are still scary injuries for the future of a linebacker's career. Knee and foot injuries for any player are scary. There's definitely going to be some caution there from the Eagles. And there's a reason they drafted Jahad Campbell. Dean was out. They didn't know when he'd come back. There were some people that didn't know if Dean would be back at all this year. That patellar injury is brutal. Okay, that is a brutal knee injury. Somehow he came back from it. Okay. I do think personally that the Eagles drafted Jahad Campbell with the intention of him replacing Nakobe Dean long term. I love Dean. I would love to see him back. I want him here for the rest of his career. He brings so much energy. He's one of my favorite players on this team. Listen to me. One of my favorite players. One of the first players I ever scouted. Okay? When he was drafted by the Eagles, I was throwing a damn party. I was so excited. That's how much I love Nakobe Dean. I love him. He always has been one of my favorite players. Always wanted to see him out there. Seeing 17 out there is cathartic for me. I absolutely love him. Okay? One of my favorite college players I've ever watched. Unfortunately, the Eagles also don't really like to pay linebackers. Bond was the exception. Haven't really seen them extend the same courtesy to other linebackers in the past. Nakobe Dean has an injury history. I do think, in my opinion, if I'm Howie Roseman, I'm going to extend Nakobe Dean some kind of an offer, and it's going to be a team-friendly offer, and it might not be what he's looking for, but I would still extend him some kind of an offer, some kind of a deal. Where does that put Campbell? I don't really know. Campbell's a really good player. You're not trading him. You can't really trade a second-year first-round pick. Okay, number one, that looks bad for your team when he's played this good. Right, why would I want to be drafted by your team if you're going to trade me in 2 years, right? So I think that would be a really weird look. I've seen people talk about trading Zach Bond, and my reaction to this always is like, get off the heroin, the meth, whatever you're smoking. Zach Bond is elite. He's going to be a Pro Bowler again this year. He's going to be an All-Pro. This is one of the best linebackers in the NFL. You don't just trade this. This is the cog in the middle that makes the Fangio defense work. Remember what I said earlier about the system? Well, you need a Zach Bond in there to make it work. He can cover anyone. He can tackle anyone. Turns the ball over. He can play off the edge. He can back off the edge into coverage. He does literally everything the Eagles ask him to do defensively. You don't trade this. Okay. Trading Zach Bond is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. So I really, really don't like when I see people say it because it's stupid. I know he's 28, right? You're going to have him until he's like 31, 32. The next couple years are still his prime. You have him in his prime to go win another Super Bowl with him, to have him lead your defense. Zach Bond is not going anywhere. You are not trading Zach Bond for Jahad Campbell and another linebacker in Dean who has missed a ton of his career due to injury. Zach Bond hasn't. I don't think Bond's missed a freaking game. You're not doing that. That is just, it's not what you're doing. I don't know what's happening with the internet, but if we look at other linebacker contracts, I think this is similar to maybe like a Dre Greenlaw where he gets about $30 million a year. I know Greenlaw's older, but Greenlaw's been good this year. He had a ton of injuries before in his career, and I think you're in a similar spot. Dean's younger, but I do think that $30 million range, right? Zaire Franklin, $30 million. Let's see. Obviously, he's not getting like Patrick. Maybe he gets close to Patrick Queen money. Azeez Al-Shaair, right? I think he's going to be in that range. I don't see him pushing into the 40s. I'd be a little surprised. But, I mean, Patrick Queen got that when he was younger. I could see about $30 million for Bond. Or not Bond, Dean. I don't think the Eagles are going to extend that, right? I just think that you're going to get into a situation where you say, hey, here's 3 years, I don't know, $20 million, right? That sounds like a Howie Roseman offer. And Dean's going to go out on the open market, and another team that runs a similar Fangio-style defense like the Broncos is going to say, hey, let's bring this guy in. We'll give you what you want. And then the Broncos are going to have Nakobe Dean and Dre Greenlaw, right? I could see a team like the Broncos wanting to do that with that Vance Joseph defense. Similar to a Vic Fangio defense. So I do think that we are kind of going towards that. It's just, you know, they drafted Jahad Campbell with a purpose. And I do believe in the purpose of that. Again, don't really look at the grades too much because he only played half a season, but he was graded out as the 13th linebacker by PFF. Now, I know PFF grades, take them with a grain of salt and stuff, but that's, for a rookie, that is something to want to build on. And I do think, right, they want to have 2 linebackers out there. I think for the future, it's going to be Jahad Campbell and Zach Bond. I love Dean. I will always, excuse me, always support him and want him to be a great player. I will always root for him when he's on another team. I will always love him. I do think, though, that Dean will most likely walk in free agency. I think there's going to be another team out there that's going to throw money at him that the Eagles just aren't. And there's a lot of contracts that are going on this offseason. Reed Blankenship, Jordan Davis, you're going to want to look to extend. Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, Quinyon and Coop, not yet, but that is coming up next year, right? Moro Ajomo, you want to think about. There's guys that Dallas Goedert as well. We don't really know, right? We're going to see what happens with some of these players in positions, and I think 2 linebackers making a lot of money like that just isn't what Howie Roseman's going to do. So, again, I think they stick with Campbell and Bond for the future. I think Campbell will continue to develop very well, and I could see a future where Campbell is Zach Bond at a younger age, and Campbell is one of the 5 best inside linebackers in the NFL. I really, really do think that is what we're probably looking at with the future. So let me know down below. Do you want to see Nakobe Dean back? Do you have a different idea? Do you want to see Nakobe Dean, Jahad Campbell together in the future, trading Bond? What? I don't agree with that, but whatever you think, leave it down below. On your way out, hit the like button for me, the sub button, the post notifications. Thank you so much for watching. Love you all, and see you all in the next video. Bye, guys.